Turn the corner so he can corner you. You're a corner, he's on you.
I got the beat from Dre. I remember taking it in the next room and just kind of zoning out, and it just felt like, I mean, the beat was so dark, it just made me, I don't know, the first words came to mind, the horror corridor thing, and I don't know, I just blacked out and just wrote it.
It's 3 a.m. in the morning, put my key in the door, and bodies laying all over the floor, and I don't remember how they got there, but I guess I must have killed them.
What about the album title then, Relapse? Is it something that you fear, that you've been down in a dark valley in a way and now you're back? Or how is it?
I mean, you could look at it like that. I mean, the way that I look at it more than anything is, I guess a kind of a double entendre, you know, like relapsing in the literal sense, which I've done, and relapsing back to what first, I guess, made me famous. You know, the first 2 records, like the Slim Shady LP and the Marshall Mathers LP. I kind of wanted to take it back to those days. Well, definitely it was a new start. You know, I feel like I almost feel like I'm reintroducing myself to the world. You know, like, you know, this is, I mean, I got a second win. It's kind of what I feel like right now. You know, refreshed.
How self-assured were you that you still had it, if you understand what I mean, when you started working on the album? Did you know that I'm going to do this, it's going to be fine, or did you have your doubts?
Yeah, I definitely had my doubts. I mean, I went through 3 or 4 years of having my doubts. Like if I, you know, there was a point in time where I didn't know if I had it at all anymore. I had a pretty bad case of writer's block, and I would try to put my thoughts down on paper, and it just wasn't the same. You know, nothing I did was like, felt like, you know, the earlier magic that I used to have. You know what I mean? It just felt like it was kind of gone. And by getting sober and, you know, my mind clearing up, you know, and just me being able to think again and function normally again, everything just kind of felt like it was coming back, you know?
How does it feel? Is it fantastic? Is it grand? Well, look at all the massive masses in the stands. Shady man, no, don't massacre the fans. Damn, I think Kim Kardashian's a man. She stopped him just because he asked to put his hands.
When I came out of rehab in 2005, I wasn't really ready to get clean. Like, I kind of knew it in the back of my mind. You know, everyone else was, it felt like everyone was ready for me to, but I wasn't. So, you know, relapsed and started taking Vicodin, started with the Vicodin again, and then started with the Valium again, and then the Valium wasn't strong enough. You know, first I would start with, I would go from Vicodin, and then I'm having trouble sleeping at night, so let me take some NyQuil. And then the next day or 2 days, NyQuil's not strong enough, so I need to go to the doctors. I need another prescription. I need Valium. You know, now I gotta call my dope dealer. You know what I mean? Like, so started, you know, I would start back with the NyQuil was a big trigger, and then Valium, and then the Valium wasn't strong enough, so now I need Ambien, and now I need this, you know, to sleep every single night. I can't go to sleep without it. And then your tolerance gets higher and higher the more you do, and then you lose your best friend, and everything from that point on is just like, fuck it. You know, you just, it kind of was an excuse in my head for me to use more, to take more, because this just happened, so it's okay to take this much. And then your tolerance gets so high that, you know, you end up overdosing, you know what I mean? And then everything from that moment, it just, you know, you gotta make a decision, like, what do you want to do with your life, you know? I mean, I relapsed twice. I relapsed once when I came home from rehab, and then was, you know, spiraled, and then relapsed after my overdose. I relapsed again, you know, and just came to the point in my head where I was just like, I can't keep doing this. It's gonna happen again if I don't. You know what I mean? So basically made the decision like I wanna stop now.
Whatever you say I am. If I wasn't, then why would I say I am? In the paper, the news, every day I am.
It seems to be very lonely. Is that the feeling that you had since you had your big breakthrough 10 years ago, that you in a way are lonely?
Well, I mean, I don't necessarily feel like that. As far as like being lonely or whatever, you know, I've got my kids, I've got my friends, I've got enough friends in my circle that, you know, I'm happy in that aspect. So I mean, you know, I guess you could say feeling lonely in the sense of I don't really, not really trying to make a bunch of new friends. You know what I mean? It's really hard to do that and hard to trust new people. But you know, I've kept the same friends that I've had since pretty much childhood, so I'm happy in that sense.
How would you say that you have matured over these 10 years? You have kids and stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I've certainly matured as far as like I feel like in my personal life I've matured about some things, but musically I may have immatured. You know, by listening to this record, I've kind of went back to, you know, the first two records, like I was saying. Like,
and how does that feel to be?
Feels great.
Yeah.
Feels fucking great, buddy.
Jessica Simpson, sing the chorus.
When you walked through the door, it was clear to me. You're the one they adore, who they came to see. You're a rock star.
My childhood certainly wasn't the greatest, you know, but I always, I guess, took that and the learning experiences from my childhood and life lessons and kind of was able to apply them through my music. I mean, my music has always been an outlet for me. You know, it's pretty therapeutic. So like whatever I'm fortunate enough to be an artist who, when I'm going through something, I'm able to put it down on paper, or when I've been through something, I'm able to write about it and, you know what I mean, express it that way.
Don't you wanna grow up to be just like me? Black women in each home's an OD. Now don't you wanna grow up to be just like me?
I certainly didn't have an education, you know. I failed 9th grade 3 times, dropped out of school. I was a short order cook. I mean, I worked a lot of different jobs, cooking and factory jobs and things like that. And I saw rap as an opportunity, as my way out, you know.
You knew you had the gift very early on to rap, or?
Well, I don't know about early on. I mean, I was kind of, like when I was a kid, I think I wanted to be a comic book artist and draw, you know, but as I got a little bit older, I think I wrote my first rap at 13 or 14 years old, and around 16-ish, I got like really serious with it. And then, you know, the more I practiced, the better at it I got. And it just, in my early 20s, I was just like, okay, this is what I want to do, you know, and there's no other option for me.
Dear Slim, I wrote you, but you still ain't calling. I left my cell, my pager, and my home phone at the bottom. I sent 2 letters back in autumn. You must not have got them. There probably was a problem at the post office or something. Sometimes
Are you surprised that I feel a lot of interest in you and your background, or you know yourself that you're an interesting person, or you're just a guy
I don't think I'm that fucking interesting.
You don't think?
It's really not a big deal. It's really not that big of a deal.
And that's why, my love, you'll never live without. I know you want me, girl, 'cause I can see you checking me out. And baby,